Madam Chair, we are now live.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Ajax Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting for Wednesday, November 18th. Due to the COVID-19 emergency and requirements for physical distancing, in-person attendance is not permitted at this advisory committee meeting. This meeting is held electronically pursuant to the Accessibility Advisory Committee Terms of Reference and Meeting Procedures and is live streamed at www.ajax.ca/live. Questions regarding items on the meeting agenda may be submitted for the committee's consideration no later than 12 p.m. on November 18th, 2020 by email to clerks@ajax.ca. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. Before we proceed any further, does anyone have any items regarding, sorry, I just have to stretch out of the way for a minute. Does anyone have any items they feel they need to disclose in terms of conflict of interest?
No.
All right, given none, we are going to move on. Regarding the minutes from our last meeting on Wednesday, October 21st, does anyone have any additions or issues they feel they would like to bring up in regard to the minutes? All right, given none, could I please have someone move that we adopt the minutes from Wednesday, October 21st, 2020?
Done.
Okay, can I have a seconder?
I second.
Wonderful. Minutes are passed. Okay, let's move on to our presentations and discussion items. Our first presentation, item 4.1, age-friendly Ajax updates and collaboration opportunities regarding age-friendly Ajax. Laura Ray, Community Development Coordinator, is joining us. She is with Recreation, Culture, and Community Development. Welcome this evening, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to join you via Zoom. It's nice to see some familiar faces. So if you just give me a moment, I'm going to quickly share my screen with you. So we'll get that set up. Okay. And we'll go in here in a sec. Okay. So thank you so much for that introduction, Julia. So tonight I'm going to be chatting about the Age-Friendly Ajax Community Plan. So I'm going to give a quick update, which is going to include a really fast review. I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page when we're talking about what an age-friendly community means. Then I'm going to move into kind of the journey that we've gone through in the last year and a bit in the formulation of the age-friendly plan. And then I'm going to talk specifically about some of the collaboration opportunities that we see aligning between the Age-Friendly Ajax Steering Committee and the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Before I start, though, I just wanted to say if anyone does have any questions, I'm more than happy to just address them as we go throughout the presentation. So I don't know if you use the chat feature or someone takes kind of a list of speakers, but just feel free at an appropriate time if you want to interrupt me and ask a question. I'm happy to oblige at that time. But otherwise, we will get rolling. So as I said, I wanted to kind of quickly just start with a recap of what the age-friendly community framework is. So when you're saying what is an age-friendly community, it's one that's really going to be responsive to both the opportunities and challenges of an aging population. So it's really looking at two factors. So it's creating those physical and those social environments, which are going to support independent and active aging, and really enabling older adults and seniors to contribute in all aspects of community life. So sounds easy enough, but how does one really achieve that within their community? So it really relies on a planning process that's going to be focused on ensuring local policies, programs, services, as well as actual physical infrastructure are really going to support and enable older adults to, remain safe in their community, enjoy good health, maintain their independence, And again, really stay connected and be able to fully participate in all aspects of community life. So that's what we're talking about when we're saying that we're looking to plan for an age-friendly community. And then so where did this concept all come from? It was actually developed by the World Health Organization. So this was an endorsed planning and evaluation framework put forth by the World Health Organization and endorsed actually by Canada, so nationally. And we're happy to say that it's now been endorsed right here in Ajax. So when we're talking about age-friendly communities, part of that framework that the World Health Organization put together is that when they were doing their background research, they really came down to identifying these 8 domains, or we can call them community features, that really are key, and they overlap and intersect with one another to essentially affect an individual's opportunity to, again, as I said before, interact fully within their community. So looking at both, again, those physical and those social environments, as you can kind of see from the dimensions that are outlined on the slide. So I'm just going to quickly go through what those 8 dimensions are. So again, transportation. So that's talking about everything from, use of public transportation to how accessible your community is, whether you're walking through it, you're cycling, looking at even pedestrian crossings. Housing, so again, access to affordable and accessible housing options that are right for your needs. So whether it's aging in place or having assisted living opportunities. Social participation is all about the level of interaction with your community. So are there events that promote social interaction, multi-generational opportunities, recreation programs for our health and well-being? And then respect and social inclusion. So again, that's really looking about what are the attitudes towards seniors and older adults within our community, and then how is that reflected, whether it be in looking at some of those social participation opportunities, marketing that's used, how do businesses, engage older customers. And then communication and information. So again, how readily available is information? What mechanisms are we using to get that out to the specific demographic? And again, is it inaccessible in a variety of formats as well? Civic participation and employment, as you might imagine, has to do with volunteering, voting, and again, working within your community. Community and health, or community support and health services, is really looking at, again, supporting both physical well-being as well as mental well-being. So knowing that there's a variety of programs and services that are going to meet the needs as you age and journey through your life. And then outdoor spaces and buildings. So again, this is looking at more of that physical environment, and is it set up to, again, support older adults and seniors in aging within their community. So these are the domains we're talking about when we're talking about planning for an age-friendly community. And I do want to just make note, so when Ajax went forward and started looking at developing our plan, when we specifically were looking into all the different measurable aspects of each domain, we noticed that social participation and then the respect and social inclusion domain had a lot of the same kind of measurements and overlap within them. So we chose to move forward and combine the two. So after this slide, you'll see that those two are going to be referred to in the same dimension. So it will be called social participation, respect, and inclusion. Continue on. If there's, again, any questions, feel free to jump in. So obviously you can imagine, after looking at those 8 community dimensions, it's clear that no one entity is going to be responsible for age-friendly community planning. So it's not going to be just the municipal government, and it's not going to be one organization on their own. So really the framework was developed to encourage those cross-sectoral partnerships between all sectors within the community. So again, we're looking at an interaction between municipal government, regional government, and provincial. So if you think back to some of those like housing or community supports, a lot of those services are going to sit at a level in which is beyond the municipal government. So it's relying on collaborative partnerships between levels of government and then also at the community level. So our local clubs and organizations and groups, our social service agencies, our not-for-profits, and so forth. So really, when we were looking to get into our age-friendly community planning, we wanted ours to be reflective of kind of those core principles. So how did our journey begin? So where did we kind of go after gaining all this information? So here's just kind of a very, very brief snapshot of our timeline. So kind of referring back to that last slide of being a community collaboration, we realized that there needed to be a lot of voices at the table when we were developing this plan. So we had a call that went out in early 2019 to essentially assemble an age-friendly Ajax steering committee. And it would be their mandate to essentially develop that plan and then be responsible for the implementation of it. So we were looking for individuals within all of those sectors. So again, those representing not-for-profit agencies, those within our social sector, those representing our older adult and senior serving clubs. So I can give you an example of what our committee makeup is. So we have members from all departments within the town of Ajax. We also have representatives from both of our Probus clubs. We have not-for-profits that are at the table, such as our Lighthouse Retreat and Christian Faith Outreach Center, and then as well as social services like Community Care Durham. So again, we really wanted to make sure that this committee and the voices that we're going to be developing this plan, we're going to be representative of that whole spectrum of the community. So really, once that happened and we assembled our group, their first task was to dive in and create that local needs assessment. So they had to develop assessment tools and a community outreach plan. So we looked at everything. Again, we did resident surveys, both in hard copy and online. We used the new Ajax IMO online engagement platform to use a community mapping feature as well as garner ideas and input from the community in a digital or virtual kind of forum. We also conducted focus groups with specific key stakeholders within the community. So that included both kind of that social service sector as well as senior and older adult groups. So for instance, we met with both the Probus clubs, we met with Lighthouse Retreat, talked to both of our senior centers, so the Ajax Friendship Center as well as the Village Center. And again, there was lots of others. So we had presentations to the community. We held a one-day conference. So the Age Friendly Ajax Community Conference, which was attended by 100 participants. So it was really a large-scale community engagement initiative. So that lasted from the spring of 2019 right up until the fall in September. And then we kind of shifted into phase 2, where it was plan development. So from October 2019 until June 2020, the steering committee gathered all of that information, so quantitative data as well as that qualitative from those focus groups and presentations, and really tried to analyze where our gaps were, where our strengths were, and then start looking at recommendations for the plan. So they essentially identified 20 goals, and those 20 goals all fit in within those 8 dimensions. So there's certain numbers of goals within each dimension, and then 82 action items. So it is a comprehensive, thorough plan that we are now tasked with implementing over the next 5 years. So we're very excited. And then in June of 2020, the plan was officially endorsed. It was unanimously endorsed by Ajax Council, which we were thrilled to hear. So a lot of hard work and achievement within 2020. So where are we now moving along in this process? So we're in phase 3, which is plan implementation. So really we're looking to begin implementing those goals and recommendations identified in the plan. So of those 82 recommendations, 48 of them have been kind of earmarked as immediate deliverables. So at the moment, the steering committee is developing what's essentially a 2021-2022 work plan. And they're focusing specifically on those 48 immediate objectives and coming up with creative solutions and innovative projects to really address those needs. And then the other thing we're going to be working towards as well is providing an annual progress update. So we really want to make sure that we're being accountable about the commitment we made to the community in terms of age-friendly planning and providing ongoing updates, to both council to let them know, where we are sitting in terms of achievements, and then as well to the public to let them know, again, this is what we've committed to and here's how we're going about, meeting those needs within our community. So that's where we sit as of today. So where does, the intersection between the Age-Friendly Steering Committee and the Accessibility Advisory Committee come in? Well, it's literally in the plan. So it explicitly states in one of our objectives under the outdoor spaces and buildings that we're going to work alongside yourselves to continue to implement the actions identified within the accessibility plan. So our plan references your plan. So we're hoping it's a two-way street. So when we kind of get into some of, I'm going to let you know about the proposed initiatives that are part of that 2021-2022 work plan. So we're hoping, again, that your skill and expertise are going to be lent to those. And then if there's specific projects that this committee is putting forth, that you think of us in the back of your mind. And I know you definitely will, because Sarah sits on the Age-Friendly Committee. So I know you're probably well-versed in what's going on at that table. But again, if you feel that there's resources that we might be able to provide for you or expertise, we want to work, side by side, to really coordinate these plans. Because a lot of what is falling into age-friendly is also accessibility. They're very hand in hand. So it's very lending to this type of collaboration. So as I mentioned, we're in the process of identifying specific initiatives for the next year and 2 years. So there's a quick little list of what's been proposed. The ones with the asterisks are I'm going to get into in more detail, because again, those are what we're looking for collaboration on at the moment. But I will let you know we've been approved through corporate communications to develop an age-friendly website or webpage, sorry, and it's actually going to be modeled exactly after the accessibility one. So I'm sure you're well versed with that webpage. And so we're going to look to model yours and have the different categories and very kind of user-friendly interface for our age-friendly webpage. So we're going to be looking at an age-friendly business guide and checklist, which I'm going to speak about in a second. We're going to be developing a comprehensive community resource guide. Also a project of neighborhood walkability audits, which I'm going to speak to tonight as well. And then an Ajax senior housing guide. So our age-friendly business guide and checklist, this is one that was identified in 3 different dimensions within the age-friendly plan. So it was mentioned in our outdoor spaces and buildings, social participation, respect and inclusion, and civic participation and employment. So this is a heavy hitter. So when we were doing our community engagement, this is something that came up on numerous occasions from numerous areas. So really the premise behind an age-friendly business guide and checklist is to provide resources to our private sector and our business sector on how they can basically, work with us to ensure that the entire community is age friendly. So we can look after our municipal buildings and we can look after our parks and our other infrastructure, but a large volume of the community lies outside of that. So, and a large, our residents are probably interacting with that section of the community more than they're interacting with us. So this was kind of one of those really big initiatives that is important. Again, it's identified in 3 different areas. So we heard it loud and clear. And really it's going to take that next step of taking, our tried and true practices and helping the business community, put those into action as well. So the next slide, there are some municipal examples. So that is live link. So if you're interested in, going through them thoroughly, you are more than welcome to do so. We're not going to do that today in the, interest of time, but I've kind of captured a couple screenshots from some of the guides. But essentially it gives a lot of information on, it might become a daunting task if a business owner has never heard about age friendly, and it might seem like, oh, I have to change a lot of things. But really we're looking at the dimensions of, comfort in a business, safety and accessibility, respect when interacting with, customers and staff, and clarity of information. So that's the 4 key features and information that we want to include in our guide. And then we also want to give them practical tools and checklists so that they can easily do a self-assessment. And this will be a self-assessment program. So we're providing the information and putting together the resource, and then we'll be distributing out to our business community and really leaving it in their hands to kind of do some of the hard and heavy lifting. So we want to make sure that they have all the tools necessary, that when we hand this resource over to them, they're going to be really able to critically assess what they're doing well in their business and where's some area for improvement. So I know that this is something that you as a committee have already developed in terms of an accessibility guide for businesses. So I think it's just taking a lot of that information and then throwing in some age-friendly planning principles as well that lie kind of outside of that safety and accessibility, in physical spaces and that type of stuff. So this is one of the projects that we're going to be looking to link with yourselves on. In terms of really looking at those two guides. So the one that you already have developed and all the information and content there, and then adding kind of that age-friendly lens onto that existing material. And then really looking at developing some, really good resources and practical applications for those business owners to make it as easy as possible for them to get on board with this program. So in terms of this initiative, the subcommittees on the age-friendly steering committee that are going to be spearheading this are obviously our outdoor spaces and buildings, and then our civic participation and employment. So one of our economic development officers sits on this committee as well. And so she's going to be our link to that business community. So once we're kind of ready to go and roll with a resource, she'll be that person to kind of get it out there and connect with all the networks and also have their eye on the resource before in kind of draft format and give us kind of any tips or tricks to kind of really gear it towards that business community. So we're looking at kind of content development and brochure design in the first part of this year. And then really that review and consultation with the business leaders to make sure that this is a resource that's actually going to be of practical use to their community. And then looking at developing what that rollout campaign is going to look like. We're in a really interesting environment at the moment with COVID. A lot of business owners have been hit very hard. So if this isn't the timing that's going to be right for them, we'll hold off. We want to just make sure the resource is there so that when it's right, we can release it and really work with those businesses to kind of take their, accessibility planning and age-friendly planning to the next step. So again, we're really not looking at launching this resource until 2022, but we got a lot of groundwork to kind of do in the back end to ensure that it's ready to go, whenever the climate that we're currently in is conducive to that. So any questions about this particular project before I move on? Getting some head nods, so that's good. And again, we can always chat after. So I'll roll on to our next project. So the neighborhood walkability audits. So again, this fell into two different categories. So we saw this come up in outdoor spaces and buildings, and then again in transportation. So when we were looking at kind of planning our work plan, we wanted to make sure that we were picking projects that, again, are falling into multiple areas and kind of try to deliver on those first because they're of greatest need. So really the premise of a neighborhood walkability audit is to identify specific features that might provide or might be a barrier to access or connectivity within the community. So again, I have some examples. So I included two links. So the City of Hamilton and the City of Ottawa run very extensive programs in terms of auditing their neighborhoods. And again, the four key features that we're looking at when we're talking about auditing a neighborhood is that safety piece. So again, that's traffic or street lighting, traffic flow. And we already have a lot of mechanisms that address this. So we have community safety zones. We also have, I'm trying to remember the name of the committee, but they're basically a community road watch. So we do have people that are out there getting this information to us. So we are aware of some, troublesome areas, but we can't be everywhere all at once. The other aspect is accessibility. So again, looking at those physical features and making sure that they're not imposing barriers. So are there sidewalks that just come to an absolute dead stop and there's no curb cut? Which would then, maybe someone who's using a mobility device have to completely backtrack in order to access another route of connectivity. Convenience, or are the routes connected and convenient to amenities? So that's a big one of, can you get to, a shopping center? Can you get to, if you're accessing the seniors club? And then comfort and attractiveness. So again, are they clean, well-maintained, and then have protective shelter and rest areas along the route? So the key with this type of project is we're looking for a wide diversity of volunteers. So when Ottawa's program was launched, they were looking for youth, seniors, and then persons with a disability. And they really focused on 3 neighborhoods a year. So they didn't do it, citywide, just looking at small pockets and kind of moving strategically throughout the town. So again, like I said, we have some mechanisms to already find out where some of our troublesome areas are. And that will really kind of direct us as to where we want to start with this type of project and identify those neighborhoods first. But then we also want to make sure that we're auditing in all seasons. So Ottawa did this as well, where you go out, the same volunteer is going to go out in fall, winter, spring, and summer and do the same route, because you may have been walking in the fall and then you come summer and there's hedges that are completely overgrown onto walkways and paths that now have caused an obstruction. So those are kind of the 2 key things that, again, we want diversity in those who are doing the routes, as well as diversity in the seasons in which they're being conducted. And then essentially those assessments are going to be shared with key staff members. So again, our operations department, our transportation and planning department, to really provide, narrowed down and focused areas for improvement. So I'm going to pause if there's any questions on those as well. Okay. So with this project,
Laura,
yes, Julia.
how are you, do you already have, or how are you recruiting volunteers for that piece of the, for that objective?
That is a great question. So what I forgot to mention is, actually, I might have it on this slide. Yes, Town of Ajax volunteers. So we have an existing pool of about, probably I'd say about 400 volunteers. And part of their intake is we actually have them identify the neighborhood in which they live in. So we can focus down and specifically target volunteers in each neighborhood of Ajax, and then specifically put a call out to say, these are the types of individuals we're looking for. So are you a youth? Are you a senior or an older adult? Do you identify as a person with, a disability, and would be willing to do these types of audits? And then essentially, specify what that commitment is. So, you have to do the same route. You have to do it at least 4 times a year within that season. And then as well, anyone within our own steering committee is more than welcome to conduct the audits, as well as anyone within the accessibility is more than welcome to conduct the audits as well. Did that kind of answer?
Okay, I think so. So you're no longer actively recruiting volunteers, but I think what you said was people from your steering committee or people from this advisory committee could complete the audits. Is that correct?
So both can, and then we're also going to rely on the Town of Ajax volunteer pool. So we'll open it up to them as well. So there's about, 400 people. And if they're interested in participating in this type of program, we'd provide them with the training to do so. And then it would be ongoing as well. So any new volunteer that joined our volunteer program would have the ability to see this opportunity and choose whether or not they think they would be a good fit to do that. So in terms of our kind of partners, so again, our subcommittee is transportation. So Army, our active transportation planner, is going to be heading this initiative up with those who are part of her subcommittee. And then another mention, which came up recently, so we have a roundtable of partners in community safety, and they're very interested in neighborhood audits as well from a safety perspective. So again, looking at, elements that might increase risk of, I guess, crime. But so for instance, a lack of street lighting. So creating dark spots, lack of visibility, those types of things. So they're also very engaged in this process and want to be at the table as well. And then there's a whole separate committee of folks there that will be participating in this initiative as well. And so we're still working on what that timeline is going to look like for developing this program. Again, being in the climate that we are, it's not super conducive to bring in a whole team of volunteers to do training and so forth. So we really have to look at how that's going to be delivered, what the timelines are, and how that kind of fits into departmental work plans and so forth. But we definitely are going to be moving forward with this project. and hope that we can get your expertise, especially when we're developing those audit tools, you know, and looking at those specific areas of, again, you know, safety and what questions we need to be asking for those volunteers to be looking for. So again, making sure that they're seeing it through all of those different lenses of safety, accessibility, convenience, and then obviously comfort and attractiveness. Okay. So then the final thing I wanted to chat with this group about, so one of the deliverables under information and communication was that we wanted to look at assembling essentially a team that would be responsible for ensuring accountability of this plan, so that we're delivering on the initiatives that we said we're going to deliver and kind of track and monitor our progress. So kind of a check and balance team. Initially, we had said that it was going to fall to the Recreation Older Adult Task Force, but we quickly realized that there's a very large overlap in membership between the steering committee and the task force. So obviously, in trying to be as, you know, non-biased as possible, we want to invite others to the table. And then we also realize that there's a lot of other lenses and voices out there that would be really lending to taking a look at, you know, all of these objectives and deliverables critically and making sure that we're doing kind of the right things and the right projects to move this plan forward. So we're looking at formulating an accountability team. So we're going to look to, again, Accessibility Advisory Committee, the Recreation Older Adult Task Force, and the Library Older Adult Advisory Committee to kind of nominate 2 members to join this new team. And they would essentially, actually, I think I have the next slide, I'll flip over, review the plan. And then we would provide as a steering committee biannual updates. So every 6 months, we would come to that team and let them know where we are in terms of each of the deliverables within our age-friendly plan. And then also assist in preparing that annual progress report. So the one that we're going to be doing each year to council and to the public. So this is actually a similar structure if anyone's received my emails previously of sitting on the awards selection committee for our Ajax Community Awards. This is the same framework. So looking at taking members from multiple committees to kind of use their skills and expertise to then really oversee and check and balance this plan. So that is kind of the third collaboration that I wanted to chat about today. So with that being said, I'm going to end there and I'll open it to questions, comments, you know, if you want any more information or if you have some ideas for additional opportunities in which we can kind of, you know, rely on the resources of one another between the 2 committees.
Anyone have any questions for Laura this evening?
Madam Chair, I'm seeing none from those on video, but I'm not sure as we do have several members joining us by phone, if there's anybody that may want to indicate they have questions.
Ray Smith speaking. I just want to say it's a pleasure being a part of the Age-Friendly Committee. And I can see so many different ways the Accessibility Committee can be involved. And that's why it's a pleasure working with you. So thank you very much for making me a part of the committee and the accessibility part of Age-Friendly.
Thanks, Ray. We love having you on the team. And like I said,
sure.
there's a lot of good links already. So I'm glad that we are so intertwined.
I would definitely be interested in doing the audits. How are you notifying people about that?
So I have to have some additional conversations with Army and Transportation and really kind of hash out how this program is going to unfold because there are a lot of conversations to be had about how do you do this in a COVID climate and how do you do it safely. So once we have that information, we'll definitely, no worries. I have one that I'm shocked hasn't made a peep yet. We'll definitely send that information out to Accessibility Committee and then through our volunteer portal as well once we're ready to launch. So I can absolutely keep you kind of on our list. And then once we know, I will send that information out to all the networks. You're welcome.
Anyone else on the phone have a question for Laura? Okay, anyone on video? Okay, Laura, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm actually really excited to see where this goes. I will be in touch with you as well. I'd like to participate as well in some fashion. And so thank you. We look forward to the next time you're here and to what you have to share with us. Oh, wait.
Hi, Julie, I did raise my hand, but you missed it. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Khan, go ahead.
That's quite all right. I just wanted to thank Laura for the passion you bring into what you do, and it's very contagious. And I'm glad that you're going to work with this committee. It is my favorite committee since I've been on council, and a lot of talent here. And I thank you for the passion you bring, and I will be sure to take that back to our council. And we do appreciate you. And a lot of people think that, it's COVID and we're not working, but I think our workload has tripled, right? So, and I'm really proud to be part of this team as well. So again, from my heart, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. And you know what? This is my favorite committee too. I love coming to this. It's always friendly faces, great dialogue. So thank you as well.
Thank you, Laura. All right, moving back to our agenda, we are now going to move on to item 4.2, International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which this year is on December 3rd, 2020. And I'm going to turn that over to Sarah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So at our last meeting, we were talking about some potential opportunities for online recognition of International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which is on Thursday, December the 3rd. I do have an update from the library. The library did have to go ahead with planning for their event, and they did opt to continue with the screening of Keep the Change. But they are looking to invite members of the committee to take part in their virtual watch party and screening at 7 p.m. on Thursday, December the 3rd. So I can circulate some information on that. However, in terms of what the committee wanted to do for their recognition, we have submitted a proclamation request to council that was granted on Monday evening. So the date has been formally recognized within the town. And we wanted to do something in terms of social media presence. So we talked a little bit about video opportunities, maybe some messaging for the day. We are running out of time in terms of putting something together. And I did circulate an email that was sort of looking for some input and brainstorming on potential messaging. I did receive a few messages from members in terms of whether or not we wanted to put together some type of slideshow through our corporate communications group that we could show through social media on the day. In terms of pulling together a video, we may not have significant time to be able to pull something of that nature together in order to meet December 3rd. But some great messaging came through regarding disabilities to possibilities. We can do anything. Adaptation to accessibility needs isn't a problem, it's a future door to inclusion. Society is shaped by people of all abilities. So great messaging that we can certainly build upon and add to, especially if there are members that didn't get a chance to provide their feedback. And looking to the committee to see what their interest is in terms of, are you comfortable submitting in your own photos with messages, or would you like me to come by and take photos like we did for National Accessibility Week? If that's the case, I'd like to have all of our material put together by Monday at the latest to get to our corporate communications team so that they have a chance to put the content together for the December 3rd date. So in terms of your availability, if you're around between Thursday and Monday and might be able to take part or have me swing by for a few minutes, that's sort of the input I'm looking for from the committee at this point. Thoughts, feedback?
I think it's a great idea. I had my own sentence that I meant to send in and it just left my brain, but disability is not a bad word, or something to that effect. I am more than happy to do a photo with some kind of saying, but Sarah, I would need you to swing by and assist with that photo op.
And it's
And
always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure seeing Sarah at my house anyway. So come on by.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's very kind, and definitely all social distance and health protocols will be
Absolutely.
followed as they were in May. So it will be done at a safe distance, masks and everything will be worn. So if that's something you're interested in, perhaps I can put together a schedule and circulate out to members and see who's available what day, or if it's easier for you to send me a quick email and then I can compile everybody's schedule and get back to everybody on when I might be able to pop by.
Ms. Danks wanted to say something, Ms. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Khan, because I can't see everybody.
I was going to say, I'll be available for a picture as well.
Excellent. And if people are not comfortable with photos, that's completely okay as well. If you wanted to submit messaging, we can also include that in the slideshow. It doesn't have to be a photo with a message, it's whatever you are comfortable with and want to participate in.
Am I qualified for a photo and a message too?
Of course.
I'd love to.
Excellent.
Sarah, I will be interested also.
Great.
So this has to be done by Monday, you say?
Sure does.
Okay. I'm just not sure if I would be available.
Worst case scenario, if you're not and you're comfortable and you wanted to take your own photo, you could do that as well. But I am more than happy to pop by just if we wanted to strive some type of consistency in our imaging. But that's quite all right if you wanted to submit your own photo as well.
Sarah,
We can
on
work it.
Friday is a very good day.
We don't have to work out all the scheduling now, but it's great to hear that there are people interested.
Yeah, I'm interested. It's just I'm thinking the day. I think actually Friday might be a better day for me. Like if you were thinking of day.
I'm thinking Thursday and Monday. So in terms of your thoughts of when you might be available Thursday and Monday, if you could shoot me a quick email after the meeting tonight, I can start getting a schedule ready to pop by.
Ooh.
Sarah, sorry, were you talking about next week?
We're talking about tomorrow and
Tomorrow.
Monday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work North Durham on Monday, so it wouldn't be. I wouldn't be accessible because it's just way far. And
that's okay. Perhaps we can continue those conversations online. Shoot me an email either way. If you can't do Thursday or Monday, let me know, and I'll try to work with you offline to see if there's something else that we can accommodate.
Okay, great.
So we want to make sure we can have as many people take part as possible.
I could probably come to the town hall on Friday. Yeah.
We'll continue a conversation offline.
So given that Sarah has indicated, we will continue these conversations offline. Let's move on to number 5, item number 5 in the agenda, which is correspondence. Does anyone have any correspondence?
Oh, Madam Chair, the only thing I could think of was I circulated by email the Durham Region survey on accessibility. I'm pretty sure, I hope everybody did receive that email. That's a Durham-wide survey that's being currently undertaken, so feel free to share with anybody that you may feel interested in taking part.
Item number 6 on the agenda, update from council. Over to Councillor Khan.
Sorry, Julia, we're losing you on sound.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't quite know what to do about that. Is that better if I move closer?
Yep, you're a little clearer now.
Okay, well, you just get a really big photo of my face then. Sorry about that. So item number 6 on the agenda, update from council, and we turn it over to Councillor Khan.
Thank you, thank you. If I didn't gush enough over your presentation on council last Monday, I want to do it in front of everybody. Julia represented us very, very well, and you all should be very, very proud. She was so awesome. I said, the way I said, that was just done somebody whose best friend is a guide dog. And everybody teared up. Like all my colleagues, they were like so impressed. Yeah, that's our accessibility committee. I also give big props to our own Sarah and how well she leads us. And but that was a job very, very well done. I was absolutely gushing with pride and joy, and I couldn't stop ranting about you guys, and I'm so proud. So thank you. That was a job very, very well done. It was so well done. She had a new hairdo when she came out to do that one. So just nothing much. We've been working because we thought with COVID we'd be like slowing down. No, like the town has so much work to do online. This is my 5th meeting in this chair today. Of course, so and the first one was from 9 a.m. to midday. So it's been going. Well, we've been very, very busy doing stuff. I just want you to know that we had let parking. We had like come off the enforcement of parking since February, since COVID started, but we had to reinforce parking back, starting all the parking bylaws starting I think it's October 13th, and everything is back in full force again. It had to come back, especially for winter control, right? So all the laws are back in, and there are going to be some improvements, and also we're allowing some widening of driveways. There's been some enhancement of bylaws, and I think by mid next year or for midsummer it'll come into place. So you can actually apply, and if you're qualified, you're going to be allowed legally to do certain adjustments to your driveway. Because we've noticed too that a lot of people are staying home. A lot of children are coming home from school, or a lot of people are not employed anymore and working from home. And those cars that usually would have been out are now at home. And we've been encouraging people as well to use your garages to park your cars, not for storage. That's what you have your garage for, and this will avoid you getting ticketed. Also, you can apply for free overnight parking for your guests and stuff. So I've been big on traffic calming and traffic control and cars and garages and stuff. So, but yeah, that's about all I'll give you. That on my last meeting, I'll give you all the updated rules for senior and snow plowing and what the town will offer for us. And I want to make sure anyone in our community that are qualified for the services offered, I want to make sure you have full access to it. So I'll make sure I come prepared with that for you. But thank you for indulging me, and please, thank you, everyone. Please carry on, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Khan. Wonderful, as always, to hear what you are doing on council. And I so appreciate your enthusiasm and championing of the work that our committee does. So thank you. All right, number 7, moving on, external committee updates. 7.1, age-friendly Ajax steering committee. Ray, do you have an update for us? Ray, are you there?
I'm there. No, I'm there. No, I think Laura did a wonderful job updating the age-friendly committee, and I think she's. Hopefully, we can involve the accessibility committee as well, because there's some fantastic stuff is ahead. So I just hope we can all partner together.
Great. Okay, thank you. Moving on, 7.2, Regional Accessibility Advisory Committee. Roseanne, do you have an update for us?
Thank you. And no, I don't. The last quarter meeting is on Tuesday, November the 24th. So I will have an update for our final meeting of the year.
Great. Let's move on to item number 8, other business. Does anyone have any other business they'd like to bring forward?
Julia?
Yes.
I just want to mention that this month is Diabetes Month. So I know there are other different organizations of this month also, but just to mention that.
Great. Thank you so much, Seppeline. That's important to point out for all of us to know.
Most of the things we are doing are virtual. Every year, usually we have a flag raising at the town hall and a presentation of the more pressing issues with diabetes at the town council. But this year we are not doing that. Everything is being done virtually. So there's a lot of programs that we're really doing. We've had meetings with the MPPs a few days ago. A lot of other things other than the things that we normally do for this month.
Wonderful. Great. Okay, I'm glad to hear that things are going on for Diabetes Month, regardless of the fact that COVID-19 is happening. It's so exciting to see the fact that, organizations and committees like ours are not allowing COVID-19 to stop the work that we're doing. So that's great. Okay, we have sped through our agenda this evening. Sorry? Did someone else want to say something?
Madam Chair, I have one brief note. It's Sarah speaking.
Yes.
I received a message from Donna today with information regarding the Elections Canada is currently recruiting for a community relations officer. And she knows that some of the members of the committee have been involved in working for Elections Canada in the past. This is for the local Ajax area. So if it is an opportunity of interest and you're looking for some more information, please feel free to email me and I will connect you with the appropriate contact to learn more.
Great, thank you, Sarah. That's possibly an exciting opportunity for someone. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, it's me. Can I say something, please?
Of course, of course.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sarah, I have this PDF you sent about 36 pages with the age-friendly Ajax community plan. This was not what Laura was going through. That was a separate document, correct?
No, that's the actual plan document. So she had pulled out just about those 2 or 3 different action items and then the accountability committee. They're all from that plan document.
Wonderful, thank you. Because I was trying to follow her and I couldn't. And this one is really nice too.
That's the public version, sort of all packaged together, where you can read the statistics and the information that was gathered through the research and consultation, as well as the actual plan and action items and timelines for implementation.
That's awesome. Did everyone get a chance to see the presentation that Julia had on Monday? There's some great photos with all of us in it, like several photos. I was like, yeah, I was really loving it. You guys all need to see that. It was really good. Well, very well done.
There is the video recording of the meeting as well. So if there's interest in the committee, I can always timestamp it and send you the exact link at which Julia is presenting if you're interested.
That would be great. That would be nice. Yes, thank you.
All kudos goes to Sarah for putting together a fantastic slide presentation.
Well, I bounced that back to the committee because you guys provided the content. So thank you.
This is why it's my favorite committee. Everybody's so generous with their praise. So good. Anyways, I'll shut up now and I'll come off. You guys take over.
Okay, so we have sped through our agenda this evening. We are on to item 9 on the agenda, adjournment. So may I have someone making a motion to, actually, let me just note, our next meeting is on Wednesday, December the 16th, 2020. It will again be an electronic meeting. We invite anyone who might be in our audience to join us again for our last meeting of the year. May I have someone make a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion for adjournment.
Thank you, Ray. May I have a seconder?
Seconding.
All right, perfect. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Council.